Hi, everyone, and welcome to Lunch Hour Lessons with Allison. I'm Allison Mädl, and today is January 23rd, 2019. Each week, I bring you a topic related to nutrition and health that I think is interesting and give you a lesson to take with you into your daily life. If you like what you hear, be sure to comment or like my Facebook page. And also, I post a transcript of each lesson that I do on my blog at AllisonMädl.com, so you can check that out. This week's lesson is There's More to Pickles, Part 1. So we've spent the last 3 weeks talking about digestion and heartburn and antacids and things like that. And then also on week 3, I did do a talk about enzymes and how important they are for digestion. There's a certain type of food that's been growing in popularity over the years that not only contains very high enzyme levels, but also has a way to optimize the acidic nature of the stomach. Also, relating to bone density, there is a study in 2011 that observed that consumption of this type of food while using acid blocker medications actually prevented bone loss. And I'll put a link to that study at the bottom. So what is it, you ask? It's fermented foods. Kombucha, kefir, sauerkraut, all these types of foods you're probably familiar with by now. They're in most grocery stores. I remember when I started hearing about these types of foods, I was making them at home and not very many people knew about them. But luckily, because you can find them in a lot of local stores, you can find them easily and conveniently. So fermentation is a process where an anaerobic environment allows the carbohydrates in the food or beverage to feed the beneficial bacteria and make a sour taste. So anaerobic means without oxygen, and that's important for the fermentation process. Mold and toxins can't grow in this type of anaerobic environment. And so fermenting has historically been used as a way to preserve fruits, vegetables, and milk products for a long time. And this is before canning was invented. So today I'm going to introduce one of my favorite fermented foods, which is salt brine pickles. And what we call a pickle is really a cucumber that has been made sour, either with vinegar or with a salt brine. And most store-bought pickles and even recipes to make homemade pickles, they contain vinegar. So they go the vinegar route to make something sour. But vinegar pickles are not fermented pickles, and they don't have any of the health-promoting benefits that I mentioned earlier, like helping digestion or helping with bone loss or any of that. So vinegar is just a time-saving convenience that really gives that classic sour taste without the time required to actually ferment the food. So the sour taste in fermented pickles comes from a type of acid called lactic acid, and that's formed when the fermentation process is going along. So because of this, these pickles can be called lactic acid or lacto-fermented pickles. I went to a deli one time and I noticed that on the table, at all the tables, were jars of pickles, but the water in the jar was not clear. It was cloudy, and that sort of registered in my mind. And when I learned about fermented pickles, I remembered, oh, that must be the sediment that's caused by the beneficial bacteria and the yeast that are all in those pickles, and it turns the brine cloudy. So that's what I was seeing. And one of the easiest brands of fermented pickles to find in the grocery stores is a brand called Bubbies, Bubbies. So Bubbies is been around a long time. The label has a picture of a black and white photo of an older woman on it, and it kind of gives a classic vibe to it. And most natural food products, most natural food markets and supermarkets carry this brand. You'll find it in the refrigerated deli section, not in the shelf places with all the condiments, because it is more of like a deli meats type of thing that goes with that. So Bubbies states really boldly on their label that they don't use any vinegar, and their only ingredients are salt, artesian well water, cucumbers, and spices. So that's another way you can look at the labels of pickles to find out if they are salt brine pickles, which would mean real fermented pickles, is if they don't contain any vinegar. So next week, I'll bring you part 2 about pickles, where I'm going to tell the story about my failed attempt to introduce them to my 6-year-old neighbor. And that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to tell a friend this week's lunch hour lesson, which is fermented pickles do not contain vinegar. That's fermented pickles do not contain vinegar. Like my page to get the weekend tip that comes out on Saturday mornings. And that's it. Bye for now.